Testing, testing. How's everyone doing? All right, what are we working on today? All right. So this. That's all right. Okay. Got a few things we are working on today. So, I need to log into my Amazon server. And you can check out how my portfolio is doing. Before we do that, let's check out our 3 commas. Alright, so this is our DCA bot. We can take a look at it. Looks like we are up a little bit of money. We started small. Check that out. Averaging about 1% per day. Only starting with $100, so it's, you know, we're up 23%. See that right there. So summary, it's not taking too many trades, but you can see the few it's taken have been pretty solid. Completed 4, we're currently in a trade. It is down a little bit right now, but only $15, not too bad. That's a pretty good start. Alright, today we're working on a few different things. We'll start here. Settings. Style side, get rid of the title. Yeah, that's all. Indicators, get rid of the title. Okay. so here we are optimizing this trading strategy. I did a little bit of work on it the other day, so I'm just inputting the settings I was using. And then I want to set up these as the default, which is no problem. Estimate 8, 7, this guy is 17. This guy down here is 5, and we enhance the lag, and that turns us into a very solid trading strategy. Alright, hit OK. So the Pine editor, we're going to open a new window, do all my programming on this window. So, close window back up here. Okay. Alright, so this is the strategy we're working on. I just imported a bunch of settings, and now I want to set up the defaults to that. I do have my code over on another screen just because this is a private indicator that I've built for someone, but you know, I'm happy to show you what I'm doing and maybe walk through how I'm doing it. Change the days. That's what I'm doing here. About the settings. I'm just mimicking these settings in the code, so that way it'll already be set up when I deliver this. Those are false. Risk and 2% ATR. Our default value is going to be 4 to 1 risk reward. High risk, low reward, but that gives us a very high profit factor, or a very high win rate. I'm not doing any trailing stop, not doing none of that. We are only going to do long signals instead of short. We do have some indicator settings we need to turn on here. Trade with kernels true, show kernel estimate is true, and enhanced kernel smoothing is also true. Lag we're going to up to 5, and look back window, relative weighting, we have a 7. 8. Aggression level we have a 17. I think that's it there. Alright, so I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to reset the settings to make sure everything is the same. See it's updating in the chart, so there's 3 dots. And now I'm going to hit reset. And everything should be set up exactly the same. Strategy tester looks good, 85% profitable, 1.73 profit factor. That looks solid. Now I do want to change the name. This is going to be short name, full name is going to be kernel regression strategy. So this uses the kernel regression indicator primarily, and then it uses this this complex money management system that I developed myself. So it measures, sets targets, take profit, stop loss targets based on the average true range. That could be set to percentage, or we can even do reversals. But I like ATR for take profit and stop loss. And we are risking 4 times the stop loss is 4 times the distance from our take profit, and that just resulted in a really good back test. We had a couple of drawdown periods, but drawdown of 11%, max drawdown of 11%, sitting at a 77% profit, while risking only 2% of your account, is very good. It's a good measure. It's a good measurement in my book. Definitely worth more testing, possibly taking this thing live. I think I need to talk over here. This gets a little, voice gets a little quiet. That's all right. One thing I do want to set up here, we're going to set this initial capital to a realistic amount. Let's just say anyone can start with this strategy at $1,000, and look at that, we're sitting at a 90% profit, 90% net profit over 300 trades happening on the 15-minute. So we can see how far back these trades go. Trade number 1, what's the date on that? 8/1/2023. So was that just at the end of March? So no, was that 6 months? 7 months? 7 months ago. So it's not a bad strategy. I think that's worth some consideration. I do want to take a look at the settings one more time. Okay, all this looks good. Everything is default. Okay, that one is ready to go. I am working on another one. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Check it. That's the one we want. Turn the source strategy off. To hide. Maybe I cannot. Okay. Alright, so this is one we're working on. It's based on a 24-hour volume. Let's get rid of this. Actually, keep that one. Close this one. Just need to save a quick change, just changing the title, nothing too crazy, and then I can close it. open up the code on this guy. Gonna open this in a new tab. And bring this tab over here. Okay. All right. So on this guy, we're doing a few things. I think we want to change the strategy. Let me read what this message is. That's what I thought. working on? Here. Alright, so we're actually going to open a new indicator. This is a project I've been working on. This HG algo. To my chart. Alright, so this indicator is pretty simple. It just gives bearish, bullish momentum signals as well as some DCA, some dollar cost averaging strategies, so it can be automated. We are going to hide the standard candles just so that way we can actually see what this indicator is doing, and where it's highlighting everything. By default, we have all the DCA signals turned off. We can include those in here. So the idea is you're going to get a bullish signal, and then as the strategy or as the trend lowers, we're going to get these DCA signals to buy back into the market. So we go in here on this candle, here on this candle. So the market's going a little bit lower from where our entry point was, but we still think we can make some money. That this trade is still headed in a positive direction. And look, if we bought back in down here, it would have brought our average price way down here, and then we get a nice another buy signal. This would be a great place to take some profits up here. And then we get some bearish momentum signals. So now we're headed back the other direction. DCA plus on the red side is going to be kind of like an exit signal. So we get the entry signal right here on the bearish momentum, and then we head down. Look at this on this large candle. We could have taken some profit out right there. It did eventually reverse directions. All right, we start heading back up, but we don't fully have a positive trend just yet. We can see the candles go back to gray, just kind of this neutral kind of bouncing around. But what's nice about this gray period is that we do get a couple times to re-enter the market and try to bring up our bring up our average price, so we can sell it for more profit later. Look at this. We get all the way up here. We still don't get a bullish signal, and we buy all the way up in the market, and then bam, we get a huge break to the bottom side. We got a bearish momentum signal here, and then bam, a DCA positive signal, which is a signal to consider exiting the market. So that would have been a huge trade right there, because we entered 1, 2, 3, 4 times and brought our average price all the way up with it, just to exit right down there. Now here we got a really big bullish signal. Enter right up here, and then immediately we get a potential exit signal after just a few candles. This is on the 15-minute chart, so what does this take, an hour? almost 3 hours worth of trading from the entry to this first signal. But if you did end up staying in, then you got plenty more chances. We got 3 signals in a row, potential exit points up here, and all the way up here. And again, you can keep holding this as long as the trend is green. It's open season. If you held this all the way up here, we have the highest exit signal right up here. Look at that. That would have been a huge trade. Go from here all the way up to here. What's that? You get that measurement? Oh, no, thank you. Look at that. That's 8.5% right there on one bullish signal. That would have been huge. I do want to take a look at the code, and we're going to try to clean things up a little bit. We do have these cute little styles, so if I want everything, I'm going to call it a symbol. I don't want to have to read all the words, I just want this little symbol. We have the bearish and the bullish signals, bullish, bearish, and then we have the positive and negative signals. Again, positive means you're buying. If that's on a short side, then it would be a long, or that would be closing a trade. If it's on a long side, that would be a dollar cost averaging into the trade. And then the opposite for shorts. If you're in a bear signal and you get a positive, a plus sign, that's going to be potential exit. And negative signs are going to be potential areas for dollar cost averaging. Easy peasy, nothing too hard there. We do have these separate settings. These allow us to adjust the way the signals are generating. A higher sensitivity will produce more signals. So if we change that, we can see market should change. It's a lot more reactive. You can see over here now we have 1, 2, 3 bullish signals, whereas before I believe we just had the 1 and it stayed but this bullish this whole time. But look at that, it kind of chopped. It was bullish right at the beginning, quick gain, but it kind of chopped around for a little bit. So maybe you want something more sensitive. Maybe you want to get all these signals in between. So we're going to bump up the sensitivity, and they'd be small trades. Not all of them are winners, that's for sure, but that was a pretty good one right there. This opening one's not too bad. This one probably would not have been great, and this one probably would not have been great either, but that kind of is what happens when you get in a choppy market. You know, you're going to get some false signals. But you can see here we got a couple really good bearish signals, all in a row. You get this short one that's not going to do much for you. But look, if we change this back to average, I believe this is going to be just two signals the whole time. So setting the sensitivity to high is going to generate more signals. And same with the long-term sensitivity as well. If we adjust that, it should give even more signals. The long-term trend is not going to be as reactive as the short-term trend. So changing this is going to have less of an impact as changing this, but they will both have an impact. Now let's say I want less trades. Okay, I think the market's way too choppy. I want the sensitivity to be like very low. I want it to be very reactive. I want to take longer trades. Then I'm going to change these settings to low. Low sensitivity is going to be it's just going to take a longer period of measurement. A quick change like this is not going to affect the trend nearly as much as an entire move down like this. And so that's kind of important. If you think things are moving a little too quick, you can slow down the measurements, and this would have been a great trade. Look at this. Right up here, we got an exit signal down there at about 4.5%. We got another exit signal over here at about almost 6%, and another exit signal down here at about 7.5%. That would have been like 3 potential exits that would have made a decent money on that trade. But you can see the trending periods are much longer. We cut out this entire choppy movement right here. You can see as soon as the trend, it came down, but as soon as it reversed, it knew it was going to chop around for a little bit, and then we got this huge trend to the downside. And that's kind of the point of getting the longer base signals, or the lower sensitivity. It's supposed to be, like I said, less reactive. It's still not going to be perfect. This one would have made a quick buck right at the gate, but then it kind of bounced around for a little bit. And that's kind of the story for a few others. This one's not too bad. You get an entry signal right here, and then it follows it up. It does chop around a little bit, and then it changes, back into a neutral trend before going back into the bullish trend. But so you can see that's how those settings affect the strategy. I'm going to turn these back to average, and we're going to look at how the short-term velocity and long-term velocity changes things. These are less impactful than the sensitivity, but they are still important. This, I believe, hold on, fast. What's changing here? that's what I was trying to do. Figure out how these affect it seems to really determine like the end of trends. Slow increase. Okay, so the velocity is really going to determine like how trades start and end. It's going to adjust the starting and ending point of the trade. If you think that a new trend is being determined a little too quickly, then you're going to want to adjust the velocity to a more slower signal. Sorry, to a faster signal. Slow. Okay. So a slower signal will provide an earlier trend identification and an earlier trend exit, while a faster trend signal will be a little more reactive. It will require a little more movement from the market for that to occur. So we can see here on this trade specifically, if I change the short-term velocity to a fast, we didn't change that one. If I change the long-term velocity to fast, you'll see we enter 1 bar later than the middle setting, or the default setting. And if I set it to slow, we're going to enter the market a whole lot earlier. It's going to enter on this first dip as opposed to the second one. And then we can see how the setting works for the short-term velocity. We set it to fast. We can see right here in this trade. By setting it to slow, it'll exit the trade. It'll exit the trade the same time as the mid setting, but you see with the fast setting, it does leave the trade on, or leave the trend on a little bit longer. So these are like minor adjustments. The sensitivity, I believe, is much more powerful, but they do allow you to make some tweaks. It'd be really good to see where you think a trend should be happening, and then play with these settings so you know, like how could you fix this trend? Maybe we want a little more faster detection, or a faster trend. And maybe we want a low sensitivity. See, now we can wipe out this whole trend over here by using this combination of settings. Now we don't get this chop at all. And look at some of these signals we're getting. Here's a bullish signal. Look at all these potential exits all the way up. We're gonna have longer trades, of course, but we can see we are getting some good signals. Here's one. We didn't get a signal right away, but that could have been a good trade there. And look at these trends that we catch. Huge. The entire way up. And look, so we're missing all of this choppy period right here. We catch a little bit of it right here before this big trend, but we're not going to be able to filter out all of it. But when we do get into a trend, that thing goes. Look at that. That would be a huge trade. This is a little choppy, but it is in a downtrend. And if we entered right here, we didn't get any exit signals on the way down, but there were plenty of opportunities there. Here's a nice long trend. You can see we do get a little chop, we do get a little back and forth, but it stays green the whole time. And so we can ride this whole thing all the way up. And you can see right at the top of each one, you can see where the exit's being set. So you'd be hitting the top of each of these peaks all the way up this little trend. Yeah, that's not too bad. Alright, you know what we can do? We can browse the Reddit. I am just just looking at my automated, what is this, 4x bot that we made. Here, I'll show that. This is on a demo account. Looks like we got some errors. Say the 26th, so it is still running. Let's see our account history. Okay, so we do have some trades open, but these have been open a while. 12, 12, 12. They're in profit. But why aren't they exiting? Let's check out the Aussie CAD. I need to filter out my computer sound. I can hear it. So the issue is we don't have a stop loss and take profit being set. I wonder why. If I go to my Pine connector, let's export advisors, properties. Here's the inputs. Target types and stop loss inputs. So if I go to my strategy that I've actually set, that's this one. We are on the EMA strategy, which should be this one that we have set up. I'm going to unhide the candles. Come back to my normal chart candles. Jump to the Aussie CAD on the 30-minute, because that's the only place we have this set. And let's see, I can look at my alerts. So March 26th, I had one at 11:30:04. And this time is in broker time, which is... Where do I find my broker time? So my broker time is 2 hours ahead of me. Right, this is 5. Or sorry, that says 00:51:53. So they are. So it's. A lot of hours ahead of me. What's that math? 4, round up to 4, 8, 8 hours ahead of me. Okay, so if I got something at 11:30, then I would expect it to come through at 17:30. Is that what this signal is right here? We had a signal at 17:30, and that came in with a signal to sell. That's correct. With a risk of 0.05. You know what? I don't have any take profit set up in that thing, do I? I just have the risk, which would make sense why I have a, well, I do have a close all signal, and that came in March 25th. These aren't even from today. So it's 14th, 12th. So, is it because I have too much? Okay, I see. So yes, these are probably not coming in 17:30. So because I only have the risk, my take profit is not triggering. So if I go here to Pine connector docs, let's transition. We will see that I'm actually missing the take profit in my alert syntax. Risk parameter is required, which is what I have, but I need a TP. So if I go here, let's go back here to my expert advisors, properties. I want this to be percentage. And I actually want risk to be percent of balance, not a not lots. Yeah. I really want TV to be price or pips. I'll make TP pips. That sounds right. Okay, so now back here. So I'm missing an alert, right? Because I'm using strategy.order.alert message on this code, and that is alerting. Oh, did I set up in here? Okay, so then I do want to change this to percentage. expert advisors, properties. New percentage. Oh, I don't like that. I do want pips, yeah. We'll just do percentage. Let me look at their docs again. Target type. So I did get a close all. I don't need a take profit. I should be getting a close all strategy. I got a close all signal yesterday at 7:41. So that would mean I would expect that to be at 15:41:49. March 25th. Oh, that's here. I had a failed order. It says on the 25th. Yeah, right there. And then at 17:30, which is on the 26th, I got that one in today. So why did my close all signal not work? We need to check Pine connector for that one. Oh, maybe I need to log into the V3 portal. We have a new webhook URL. That's good to know. Let me download. I do need to download that. Okay. I actually need to do that on my VM, which is fine. Okay, so I'm actually going to do this on here. Need to get the new EAs. So while my VM takes a while to open up the Edge so I can get to the website and download all the new stuff. In the meantime, let's look at what's on the Reddit. And maybe we can find some problems to solve on Pinescript. Excuse me. Sorry. Oh, excuse me. Some interesting ideas here. Here, let me show you. Oh my, what's on? Okay, did my Edge crash? Kind of looks like it. Good news is those trades we made were actually profitable, which is always a good thing. We can see when they were placed. 1 hour. Trades were opened 11, 12, and 14. So they were a while ago. So here we have the 14, here we have the 11th, and here's the 12th. So we bounced around this area, trade, trade, trade. And you can see where we are now. We were actually in a lot of profit just a couple days ago, back on the 22nd. It's been a minute since we checked on this. It's always going through a testing period. It's good to know for some reason. I mean, I know why, but my trades aren't exiting, and it's annoying, but easy to figure out. I just need Edge to work, please. Okay, so this is a good question. Pinescript newbie question on the Pinescript subreddit. The complaint is, so I have a strategy in Pinescript version 5, and I have multiple indicators within that strategy. What I'm trying to do is make it so that I can have some of my indicators plot on my main chart overlay and have some plot in a separate tab, as if the overlay was set to false. I am aware that this is probably a stupid question and very simple answer, but I am new to Pinescript and I've already tried everything I can think of and can't seem to find the proper solution. Bad news is OP, Dildo Schwaggins Crypt, fun name. Bad news is, this top comment is correct. You can't plot in both at the same time. And let's show you why. So, if I open a new indicator, open a new indicator, call this Reddit question of the day. And right now, all this indicator does is it plots the close value. I'm just going to plot. We'll give it a color so it's easily visible. I'm going to give it color of orange. Okay, I'm going to add this to my chart. And we can see by default overlay is set to false, right? Because it gets its own little window. If I change this here, we're going to go overlay equals true. Now, because we're changing the overlay, I can't just update on chart. If you see update on chart, it's not going to change anything, even though the overlay is set to true. I have to remove it from my chart and then add it again to chart. And then you'll see, if I close everything else, cool. If I close everything else, you can see that orange line is now plotted on my chart. That doesn't mean that an oscillator and an on-chart indicator can't both be used at the same time. So what I'm actually going to do is grab the RSI, just spell it out, relative strength index, and I'm just going to grab the code from here. RSI has a surprisingly long code, but it's very detailed, very useful. Okay, don't need it anymore, going to get rid of it. Now let's say I want this close price plotted on the chart, but I also want to plot that RSI. Let's do this RSI code. Okay, now I pasted the whole code. Okay, I'm going to go over and make changes I need to. First thing I need to do when combining indicators, I need to get rid of. Well, first thing actually, sorry, I need to make sure they're both on the same version. I should have done that before I pasted them here, but same version. Now I need to get rid of the new indicator title because you can't have two indicator titles within one script. So we're just going to get rid of that. And then next, I just want to make sure everything that there are no duplicate variable names. So like all of this stuff right here, RSI length input. If I had any of these already defined up here in my normal indicator, it would cause an issue. So you see now this error shows up. MA length input is already defined. It's because I already have it up here. But I don't have anything up here because it's super basic. I just have a line on the chart, and now I have the RSI. Now if I try and plot this, it's going to look funky. And I know that because the RSI is built to be a below chart indicator. It is a oscillator, right? It doesn't work on the same time scale. Sorry, it doesn't work on the same price scale as the actual chart, which has the prices on it, right? It works on its own scale. So when I hit update on chart, we're going to see a bunch of things. Right now, you see this orange line down here at the bottom of my screen, and then you see the RSI way up here on top of my screen. And I just realized that none of you are seeing this. Okay. So now we have the RSI on the main part of my screen and the orange line on the bottom part of my screen. Since we added them both to the chart, they are both on the chart. You can see the RSI is plotted like normal, which goes between 0 and 100. So you expect the values to mostly fall between like 30 and 70, which is where these two bands are. So everything here is plotted between 30 and 70. That makes sense. And then again, the price is being plotted by this orange line, and we know on the Aussie CAD the current price is, what are we at, like 0.1 something, 1 point. I can come down here and take a look. 0.88747 is the last closing price. So that makes sense because it's plotted here at 0.88747, whatever number we said, 744. So it makes sense. These are both being plotted at the correct values, but why aren't they like? I don't want them to look like that, right? I want to get information from both without having to plot them both in the same place. So this is how I do that. I go back to the code we're looking at, and I get rid of all of the plots from the oscillator. Okay, so right now what I want to do is I want to continue plotting my price value from up here, the very original thing, while still getting information from the RSI. So in order to do that, I'm going to get rid of the plots of the RSI, just completely. I don't need them anymore. I might reference something inside them, but for now, I don't need them on the chart. And once I get rid of those, we should just go back to our orange line. Oh, did I miss some plots? I did. Right here. Let's make sure that doesn't break anything. We'll hit save. All right, now we're back to my nice orange line, which I know follows the price, follows all the candles, just like that. But I still want to get information from the RSI. So first, I need to figure out what information do I want from the RSI. The RSI is a relative strength index. It, generally speaking, it provides information on when the market is oversold or underbought. Sorry, oversold or overbought. Once the RSI moves to the extreme levels, let's just look at it real quick again. When the RSI moves beyond these extreme levels, which are usually marked at the 30 and 70, the market is considered oversold down here at the bottom and overbought up here at the top. Generally, how people use this to trade is they will, when the market is considered oversold, they will consider entering a long position in hopes that the price will revert back from being oversold back to the mean, and then the opposite for being overbought. Just finding a good example. Here's one. When the market goes above the 70 value on the RSI, we expect the market to be overbought and will therefore reverse direction to return to the equilibrium on the RSI. That's how people usually trade it. So there's information here that is important, but we don't need all of it. Let's just say I only want to know when the RSI is above this 70 value or below this 30 value, or we'll phrase it as I only want to know when the RSI is overbought or oversold or neither. So those are three options. Those are the three things we want to get from the RSI. So all we have to do is we need to find the RSI value. Okay, so right here, the RSI plot is plotting this value. So this is the value we want. And I'm just gonna, right here in the middle of the code, write out my condition. We're gonna go RSI OB equals RSI, and it is overbought when it is greater than the value of 70. And then we're going to do the same thing for RSI oversold. RSIOS equals RSI less than 30, right? Because once it goes below this 30 line, that's when the RSI is oversold. So those are the two conditions, right? This purple line being plotted is the RSI. That's what this line is. And so it's plotting this value, the RSI. So I just want to know when this line goes below or above this value. And that's what these are. So these variables will return true when this condition is true. So now what I want to do is, now that I know the information that I need to visualize this on my chart somehow. One of my favorite settings, or one of my favorite functions, is plot shape. It is super easy to use. we are just going to plot the series we're going to plot is true. We're gonna want this to show up on every single bar, right? We want it just going to be true on every single bar, and therefore we will plot on every single bar. We're going to go give it a title. Give this RSI signal, and then from there we need to give it a style. Style is going to be its shape dot. I like having a square or a label because we can either give it text or we can give it a color, and that's what I like to do. I like to just color this with that information that I have, and this is where we get that color. The color parameter is going to be color equals. Now we need to think about how we want to phrase this, right? So when the RSI is overbought, I want the shape to be the color red, which is the opposite of what it is here. And I want that because being overbought is a sell signal, right? It's a signal that the price is going to change directions from moving upward to moving downward. So I want that to match the direction that you would enter in the market. In this case, red. And then the opposite would be true for being oversold. So an oversold signal, while it's red here on the chart, I want it to be green because it should be a signal to enter the market long in hopes that it returns upward. So to write that, I'm going to use a tuple, which is relatively easy. It's just if a condition is true, then it will do that. Then it will do A. If the condition is not true, then it will do B. And we write that just like this. RSI OB. So if the RSI is overbought, remember, if that value is true, question mark, then the color will be color dot overbought will be red. Else, right? So if RSI OB is not true, then we want to check RSI OS and then do the same thing. If RSI OS is true, then we want color dot green. And then lastly, if RSI OS is not true and RSI OB is not true, we want everything to be color dot gray. All right, so I'm going to save this and we'll see how this shows up on the chart. Beautiful. Okay, so you see I just plotted shape. The value is true, and so I believe by default it will plot above the candle. We can actually look at what that default is. We are looking for the location. So location, yeah, default is above bar. And that's exactly what we got. So we have squares above every single bar. We know when the squares are gray that it is sitting comfortably within the margins of the RSI. However, once it changes colors, down here we have green, down here and over here we have green as well. We know that the RSI has extended into an oversold condition and that we should consider entering the market long. And look at that, if we did right here, if we entered the trade right here, that would have been a pretty good trade. Whoop, all the way up there. So, but, you know, it's not always perfect because here's another one. If we entered the trade right here, this was a buy signal, this would have been all the way down, and then maybe if you held long enough, you could have gone back up, but that might be a break even at best. Okay, so that's great. We have that information now in the chart. We don't need this anymore, right? Because we just want to verify that everything looks correct, everything looks the same. The settings here are the same, so I know that whatever is down here is representative of what's up here. So I can, make sure things line up. You can see right here, it is correctly colored gray, which means it is no longer oversold. And right up here, we can see it peaks just above that 70 value, which makes it overbought. Everything looks good. Now we can get rid of this. And now it's just a matter of formatting these squares to be where you want and look like what you want. So one thing we're going to change is the location. I like to use location dot bottom. Oh, I should format that correctly. Location dot bottom. And now we have a nice little line of squares down at the bottom. And they won't move. We can adjust our chart however we want, and it will stay that way. And now I don't even need to look at the RSI. I can just look at these squares to see, okay, this is where the RSI was overbought, oversold, and whatnot. Now, this isn't very helpful for, you know, trying to determine live. You can't really see what direction.
Not right.
You can't really see what direction the RSI might be going, but you can always program that logic in. Maybe you want, you can do like a color gradient, or here we can even do this. Instead of being color gray, we only want to see when it's outside those bands. So we'll do just color equals NA and A, and that will erase all of the gray squares and only give us the red-green squares where they matter. That's the only time we really care. See, and look at these signals. Look, this one bought down here at the bottom. Nice change right there immediately. Here we had a couple oversold signals. Sorry, overbought signals. It did signal right there in the last one. That would have been good, but these early ones might have been tough to get through first. And then look at here. We're way overbought right here. And we're headed back up. So that's how you can get information from a oscillator without really needing to plot it in its own window. So that just goes back to this this question on Reddit. This person, they're trying to plot multiple indicators, one on the chart as an overlay and one on the separate tab. Like I said, and like this top comment said, it's not possible. But we just showed you how you can still get the information from the below chart indicator. So it's not required to plot it. You can keep everything on that one chart, but still use all the measurements and all the indicators you want. Okay. Now I'm back down here. I just want to show you this so I can get my new EA downloads. MT4. See if there's any more questions on the Reddit. You can take a look. That was a fun one to walk through. Relatively straightforward, pretty easy to figure out. I'm gonna go here. Can we write a pine code around a line drawn using the drawing toolbar on a chart? This is an interesting question. And again, this top comment, solid answer. Pinescript can't access lines drawn manually on the chart, but it is possible to feed the line start and end points into the script and have Pine draw the line and then alert when it is crossed. That's actually a perfect scenario to test out. So I'm going to create a new indicator. We're going to call this one Reddit script of the day 03 26 24. That's not it. 24 number 1. Even though the last one was number 1, we'll call this number 2. Script of the day. Alright, so the OP wants to draw a line and then use that line for measurements within a Pinescript. We're going to set up this exact example that this guy provides. Thank you, VB Salty Dog. And we're gonna draw a line using the code and then set up an alert for when that line is crossed. This is actually something that not a whole lot of people know, but it's called the input dot float. It is called the confirm parameter. Line, we'll go x1 yeah. Actually, we may want to, I don't know if it's a float. I think we want input dot price. There's input dot session. No. Input dot no source. Input dot time. I think that's what it is. Input dot time and input dot price. I'm going to give us a confirm equals true, and this is actually going to be y, not x. Price is the y variable, time is the x variable. We'll call this one. Can I not? Let's do this. Give this the default. Value close. No. 0. Give this a title. Geez, can't type today. Equals y. I like coordinate better. Y coordinate. This is a variable. Put a comma there. Capital C. Jeez Louise. Can't type. Okay. And then we also want to confirm equals true on this. So what this is going to do is we're going to input a price variable, we're going to input a price value, and then we're going to input a time value, and then we want to draw a line based on those. We actually need one of each, right? Because there's an x1 and a y1. So, sorry, x1, y1, and x2, y2. So we're going to name these x1, y1, and put them in that order, and then I'm going to copy it, and we're going to do x2, y2, and then we're going to change this to 2, 2, 1, 1. Okay, so now we have two variables, and it's asking us to we're gonna have to confirm these in our settings when we add the indicator. Now I want to draw a line based on these. So we're just gonna do if bar state dot is last. So if we are in a live trading, if we are in the last bar on the chart, then I'm going to draw a new line. And the first point, I can't do an input dot point, can I? That's going to be really nice when they add that. That's okay. We will use the second overload of line.new, which will give x1 and y1 values. So x1 is going to be x1, y1 is going to be y1, and then x2 is going to be, you guess it, x2, and y2, surprise, y2. So that should use these coordinates that we've provided to plot the new line on the chart. One thing to be wary of is that we are doing our x value is in bar time, not bar index. So we have to use xlock. We have to use the xlock parameter, which is super simple, just like this. Xlock equals xlock dot bar time, and that's this right here. Xlock possible values, xlock bar time. So we just have to specify. By default, it will use bar index. So we have to specify that no, we're using the bar time, and bar time is going to be that x coordinate, whereas price will be that y coordinate. And yeah, so if we're on the last bar, it will draw that coordinate. So let's save this and add it to chart. To be bigger. Okay, so I know no one saw 90% of that. Well, that's fine. That's okay. So now we're going to add this to the chart. We're going to get rid of this question of the day. The first one, actually, you know, I'm going to change it real quick. I'm going to name it correctly. And then I'm going to get rid of it. So we need to go back here. Reddit question of the day, number 2. Oh, I put script of the day. It should be question of the day. Now look, when I try to add this into my chart, I get this prompt. So this prompt is asking me, where is the x1 coordinate for my script? So let's say I want to draw a line from, remember, x coordinate here. So x1 and y1 are in the same place. And I want to draw like a trend line all the way down here. So we're going to go x2 coordinate and y2 coordinate right there. Now, look at that. It plots the price and then draws that coordinate, or draws that line there on the chart. And because I didn't actually change this to overlay equals true, it showed up on the below chart. No big deal. I can save this, and then I have to remove it from the chart and then add it back to the chart. Now it's going to ask for the same thing, because every time I add to the chart, it's going to confirm with us where this line needs to be drawn. So right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. Okay, now we can see. Now we can always move where this line exists. We have these little bars to move it up and down. We can change the y coordinate. We can change the x coordinate. So I want it all the way over there. and I want it to pinpoint right there. Look at that trend line. Yeah, there we go. So we can move where this line exists. And now what we can do is we can use that line to set up like an alert, or use that in the code to do whatever really we need to. In this case, the Reddit, the guy that answered the Reddit question, the person that answered the Reddit question, says you can make an alert off of it, and that is entirely true. So let's do this. We're just going to keep that line on the chart because I don't really need it. And what we're going to do is, so right now it's drawing this line at the end of every bar. That's fine. That's okay. You can see how this works. So we have a coordinate x1, y1 coordinate right there. But what I actually want is I want a line. I need an output to this. Right, so I need to be able to get the value of the line, so I need to save the line into an object. And the way I'm going to do that is just like this. We're going to call a new variable, var, because we don't want this variable to change over time. Once it's set, it should stay set. I'm going to call it a line, and we're going to name it line 1. And we're going to say equals NA, because at the start, it should not equal anything. And now, we want to assign this line into line 1. And so now, if the bar state is last, it will assign line 1 to these values. So we're going to save it. Our line's still going to be there. It's going to use the same settings. I can get rid of it and just add it back to chart. Before I do, actually, let me come out this way. Get some x1 and x2 values, or y1, y2 values. X1, x2, y1, y2. You know, start, endpoint. And then, once I do that, I can do this. Now that line 1 is an object, I can call line 1 to get values from it. So we're going to say alert value is equal to line 1. Sorry, let me spell it. Line 1 dot get. And we want the price value, right? So we can do get price. We can do get y1, right? Line dot get y1. And we're naming the line right here. So now I can do an alert. Hold on. If close, we'll do this. ta dot cross close comma alert value, then alert message is going to be line crossed. And we're going to do this frequency equals freq dot, I think it's alert dot, alert frequency once per bar close. Okay, now we're going to save this. Okay, and now actually I want to take this to, I'm going to take this to Bitcoin because I know Bitcoin's always moving. Now like when I update, you're going to see that line is way down here because, you know, we didn't actually draw it. So I'm actually going to remove it from my chart and then again add it to my chart. Actually, sorry, before we do, I'm going to move down to the 5-second chart, and I'm just going to draw a line. So we're going to test this alert to make sure that it works. So again, make sure it's removed from the chart. I'm going to add it to chart. Line over here, line over here, and we're going to save. Oh, sorry. Yep, there's the line. That works. And now I'm going to set an alert on this indicator. Any alert function call, create. Just want to make sure I turn off. Okay. Here's one thing we can do. We can do extend equals extend.right, so that way the line will actually plot into the future and we can still see it. Be funny if it just doesn't cross it again, huh? Coming back up. This is the worst part about testing, is just the waiting that happens sometimes. All right, look at that. We got an alert. Showed up right here, line crossed. Now, remember, I added this extend right here at the end. However, if I change the X and Y value, should be over here. If I change the X and Y value for how this is being plotted, it will not take this value into the future. We would need to calculate that out. And that's a little beyond what I'm able to do right now. But that is how you could use a line on the chart, and then make something out of it. All right, I think I'm going to call it for today. Went over some decent stuff. I need to reinstall the Pine connector junk on my virtuals on my VM, which is no big deal. It is what it is. Once I get that going, then we can actually start testing more Forex trading stuff. And yeah. All right. You all have a good one.